King Charles and the Princess of Wales both returned home on Monday after their time in hospital, recuperating after surgery.
Yeah, and the King was seen smiling as he left the premises with the Queen after 3 nights of medical care after his operation.
Kensington Palace has said that the Princess is making good progress. She returned to Windsor. And joining us now to discuss this further, Royal Correspondent Michael Cole. Michael, morning to you.
Good morning, Eamon. Good morning, Isabel. Yeah, His Majesty looked really rather fine, didn't he? Almost as if he'd been on holiday, waving at the crowds, talking to them. And I rather fancy that Trumper, the court hairdresser, had been in there because he looked rather well. Look at his haircut there. Really rather nice and trim. And quite clearly, very glad that it's all over. But I must say, he has been in hospital in London before. 1962, when he was 12 years old, he was rushed to Great Ormond Street Hospital with a very hot appendix. It was an emergency appendectomy. And literally, the surgeons saved his life. It was played down at the time, but it was really quite serious. And of course, in those days, peritonitis, blood poisoning, could have been fatal. But there you are. There we see him having a chat. I think he immediately puts the window down. He can't stand being in a confined space, whether it's a room or a car. And I think the car was heading off towards Windsor. But I wouldn't be at all surprised if they don't go up to Burke Hall on the Balmoral estate, because that's where when they both had COVID during the pandemic, that's where they stayed. He's going to have a month of recuperation. Very, very different from the departure of the Princess of Wales, Kate, of course. She went by the back door. There was no photo call, and perhaps that tells us a great deal. They don't keep you in hospital for 13 nights for nothing. It's obviously not a minor matter. It's a serious matter. We haven't got further details about what exactly was the reason for the surgery, but she's entitled to her privacy like any other woman. She's a wife, a mother, a sister, a daughter, and whatever she wants to tell us about her condition in due course, I'm sure we will know, and it would be indelicate to inquire or snoop too much in the meantime.
Absolutely, and of course we send our best wishes to both of them. We know that Kate and the King are close. They're fond of one another. And there is a school of thought that perhaps the King made more of his exit yesterday to try and not necessarily distract, but, you know, to allow her the breathing space she needs, because obviously, as you say, her condition has been a bit more private and a bit more serious. Do you think that there was something in that, perhaps?
I think you're very perceptive, Isabel. I think that's exactly what he did, because obviously the media had been camped out there for 2 weeks. They wanted some pictures. They were entitled to them, and they got them, and they got some very good pictures. Kate, of course, as you say, we wish her a speedy and complete recovery, and I'm sure she was delighted to be home with her children. There we see her in happier days with them, preparing, I think, Christmas presents there. She will stay at Adelaide Cottage because they're going to school locally, but it's not ideal. It's not a very big property. In fact, the nanny can't even be accommodated within the house. She's got a premises in one of the outhouses there, which has been converted. And one of the former tenants, Mrs. Rosemary Townsend, who was the wife of Group Captain Peter Townsend, who had a famous affair with Princess Margaret, she said it was the coldest place she'd ever known in the whole of her life. So not ideal. And I'm quite sure that in due course they'll go off to their house, Anma Hall, on the estate at Sandringham, where they'll have more space. Of course, her parents live not far away in Berkshire, and I'm sure there'll be a comfort to her, and maybe she'll spend some time there. But it's going to be until the other side of Easter before she's doing what we see her doing there, visiting what looked to me to be like a hospital. Because you know what Queen Mary said? We're the royal family. We're never tired, and we love hospitals.
We